going on, Jerome's? So your Minnesota Vikings are mercifully, I don't know, what was it, 11 days away? Something like that, from selecting the future franchise quarterback, and likely it's going to have to take a trade up to get into the stratosphere for Drake May or Jane Daniels or J.J. McCarthy or blah, 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 blah. But general manager Kwesi Adofo-Mensah has already kicked the tires and light the fires, making the deal with the Houston Texans, acquiring a second first-round pick and giving the Vikings a competitive advantage over other teams trying to move up. And also, I feel like there's a deal already in place if Jane Daniels goes to the commies at 2. That's all. But the Vikings do have an advantage over other teams looking to move up, like the Broncos, like the Raiders, and potentially even the Giants too, because the Vikings do have 2 first-round picks. And even though the Giants have 6, the Vikings have dose. Now, the value of the first-rounder right now is immediacy. So you can use it now. You can get yourself a player that helps you this season versus, I mean, yeah, future first-rounders are nice, but 1 year down the road, who knows what your team is going to look like. You don't even know if you're going to have a job if you're the GM. Also, especially 2 years down the road, who knows what that value is indeed going to be. So all that value is theoretical versus right now, cash money. What can we do with 2 first-round picks? Now, the Vikings, like we said, have a nice floor where they can stick and pick because 11 and 23 certainly going to be valuable selections if the Vikings do not use them to trade on up. And reportedly, they may be looking to hang on to that second first rounder. This is from Jeremy Fowler, ESPN. So he was on SportsCenter talking about all the various scenarios with the teams looking to make a move. Friends at Daily Norson transcribed his SportsCenter hit when it comes to the Vikings. And this is Jeremy Fowler, ESPN. And you've got Minnesota armed with 2 first-round picks. This is the team that could be active. I've talked to several teams who believe that Minnesota, at least right now, doesn't want to part with that second first rounder, which is in the 20s. They want to try to preserve that, which could be tough to move up into the top 5 for a quarterback. So the feeling is they're looking at a potentially J. McCarthy there, one of the quarterbacks, but they might not want to give up enough to get there, right? So question is, you have to try and reverse engineer, like, where's Fowler getting this information? So Fowler is very well connected, and he's talking to these teams, and generally what is. So I feel like if you're a GM, and if you're talking to the media, or if you're an exec with a team, you're not going to talk about what your strategy is. You're not going to talk about what teams who are talking to you strategy is, but you are going to play a game of telephone because all these GMs and executives are on the phone with each other right now, just trying to outwit and outduel each other heading to the draft. But you'd be like, oh, well, I've heard that the Vikings are snooping around. And it could be a spot, too, where, hey, maybe Kwesi is Kwesi, but that's how it goes. Maybe he's going to teams like, well, you know what? We can trade up with you guys, but we'll do the future first rounder and maybe a future third as opposed to 23 because we would like to hold on to 23. Or it could be a spot where Kwesi is creating a false negotiating stance where it's like, hey, we don't want to give up the number 23 pick because we want to hang on to it. But my friend, I'll tell you what we'll do for you. Just because it's you, we'll include it. Even though the Vikings and Kwesi may have wanted to include it the entire time either way. Because like we said, when the Vikings made this deal, again, it's exceedingly rare when a team trades up into the back end of the first round without knowing what the board is going to look like. Now, there are reports that Houston initiated the conversation, but the Vikings and Kwesi obviously saw the value in it because they executed the deal. And there is a ton of value, especially in this draft, because the Vikings... the Vikings could stick and pick and come away with 2 great players in this first round, including possibly a quarterback, or they could package up everything and move on up. And if they can find a way where they can keep 23, that'd be kind of sexy, man. Because if you look at the big board, so players that could be available at 23, and again, who knows what order they're going to come off of, but you could see a guy like Talisa Fuaga, maybe he takes a tumble. Leatu Latu, maybe teams are scared off by the medicals. BTJ, oh, that'd be fun. That'd be fun. Brian Murphy Jr., Johnny Newton could be in that mix. Fatanu, Latham, who the Vikings had in for a top 30 visit. That would be really adding meat to the offensive line. Cooper DeJean is there. Nate Wiggins, blah, blah, blah. So you get the idea. Graham Barton, JPJ, our guy Zach Frazier's in that mix too. Darius Robinson would be sexy as hell. So yeah, there's a lot of value with that number 23 overall pick. So maybe that's why the Vikings in the back of their minds like, hey, maybe you want to hang on to it. That's fine. And also, I feel like, so say the Vikings get skunked out of the top 3, and say it goes win, play, show, Williams, Daniels, May, or May Daniels, one of the two, right? And it could be a spot too where Arizona and the Chargers, like they see their guy, where Arizona can get wide receiver 1, the Chargers can get offensive tackle 1, and they're good to go. And maybe the Giants are like, hey, say Harrison Jr. goes to the Cardinals at 4, they're like, hey, we'll just take Malik Neighbors and we'll roll the dice with quarterback later, or we'll try and secure Penix or Nix in the second round, or we'll roll Daniel Jones, whatever. And I think it could be a spot where the Vikings could trade up to 7. Now, not to get ahead of like the Falcons, who probably won't be in on quarterback because of the 2.5 years of guaranteed money to Kirk Cousins, or the Bears or the Jets, but wanting to box out the Broncos and the Raiders. That could be the move, where that could be the spot where 11 to 7. Maybe that is a spot where they don't have to include 23. Now, of course, if the Titans or maybe even the Falcons do want to move down, I mean, obviously they'd be like, well, how about 23? And then the Vikings could be like, hey, shut your face, shut your mouth, shut everything. How about we'll give you 108 and the future, our future third in 2025, and the Vikings are projected to have an extra third-round pick because of the comp picks. So we'll do that. How about immediate 4th, maybe even a 5th? We'll sweeten this thing up since the Vikings do have 7 day 3 selections, as well as that future third, and then we'll go from there, because that would be sexy as hell. Not gonna lie, where the Vikings are able to maneuver, still find their guy, and hang on to 23, because like we said, there is a thickness, THICC, get up, come on, get down with the thickness of really talented players that are going to be available at 23. So that's why there's a ton of value in that spot. And maybe it is a situation where the Vikings, as a last resort, they want to move up, or like we said, maybe Kwesi's creating a false negotiating ploy where it's like, hey, even 3, 4, 5, hey Patriots, hey Cardinals, hey Chargers, like, hey, we'll trade with you, but we want to hang on 23. We'll give up the future 2025 first rounder, as well as hell, maybe even say the 2026 third rounder or second rounder or whatever. Probably not. I don't want to go that far in advance, but either way, whatever happens, happens. That's what it comes down to. Where the Vikings, no matter what Kwesi does, no matter what the Vikings do, they'll be good to go. And even if they stick and pick, they can find their quarterback. They're going to have the capability and be in position to add some really very talented, really good talented players to this team. So I'm good to go either way. Your thoughts are thoughts. Vikings reportedly are trying to trade up, but don't want to include 23. We'll see. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.